let's talk about mutation. Mutation is an idea that is referenced all over the entertainment industry. Basically, our hero is just a normal guy walking around one day when all of a sudden, ow, a special kind of bug bites him, or he is exposed to gamma radiation, or his DNA is spliced by a machine, or he drinks some weird chemical. Anyway, one of these things happens and suddenly our hero is a mutant. He's bigger, or stronger, or has spider powers, or has some kind of magic, or a variety of other things. Unfortunately, this kind of thing doesn't happen in real life, and while real mutations can happen this way, they rarely or never have results like these. So, what is mutation? And how is this related to evolution? Before we start, it's important to understand the basics of genetics. Our video on genetics has all the background you need to understand mutation here. To understand, let's start with a definition. A mutation is an alteration in the genetic material of an organism. Mutations can come in all shapes and sizes, so let's look at some different kinds and see what sorts of effects they can have on the organism. Chromosomal mutations occur on a relatively large scale, with effects on a large number of genes. DNA in humans and other animals is organized into several separate strands that are wrapped up in a compact arrangement called a chromosome during cell division. If, for example, a whole section of a chromosome is deleted, then many genes will be affected. Besides being deleted, sections can also be duplicated, added, inverted, or transferred between chromosomes. Because these changes can affect a large number of genes, they are often fatal. Down syndrome is a chromosomal disorder caused by the presence of an additional copy of chromosome 21. Normally, a zygote has one copy of chromosome 21 from the father and one copy from the mother. However, sometimes either the sperm or the ovum has an extra copy of chromosome 21, and the zygote ends up having 3 copies. Having an extra copy of chromosome 21 means that some of the proteins on the chromosome are overexpressed, and this affects the function of several different types of cells. Down syndrome is associated with a variety of conditions, including mental impairment, stunted growth, and a number of characteristic facial features. Down syndrome is the most common chromosomal abnormality in humans, perhaps because many other abnormalities are fatal to the fetus. Small-scale mutations are more subtle, but their effect can vary from no observable difference to a fatal malfunction of a protein. Some sections of DNA don't actually code for proteins, so mutations in these areas typically have little effect on the organism. These are called silent mutations. Sometimes, the wrong nitrogenous base is attached when the DNA is replicated, which may create a new allele, producing a different protein with a different amino acid in that place. It may make a small difference in the performance of the protein. This is part of the amino acid sequence of the protein hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is responsible for transporting oxygen around the body, so almost every cell depends on it to survive. The 6th amino acid in normal hemoglobin is glutamate, which corresponds to the codon CTC. Individuals with sickle cell anemia have a CAC codon instead, replacing glutamate with valine. This prevents the hemoglobin from folding properly. Hemoglobin is responsible for transporting oxygen in red blood cells. The sickle cell protein is ineffective and forms strands that give the cell its characteristic sickle shape. Sickle cells are less flexible than normal red blood cells and are not able to effectively carry oxygen. Individuals with sickle cell anemia typically have some normal red blood cells and some sickle cells. Because they are stiff and sickle-shaped, the sickle cells can block blood vessels and restrict the flow of blood. Symptoms include pain, ischemia, organ damage, and potentially a premature death. All of this is ultimately caused by a very small-scale change in a single codon of a single gene. Ultimately, a base pair may be removed. This doesn't seem like a big deal until you consider the way this messes up the codons. Here you see the original codons, and these are the mutant codons. This now produces a radically different amino acid sequence. A similar effect occurs if a base pair is inserted. Here are the original codons, and here are the new ones. As a result, insertions and deletions can have particularly dramatic effects. Small-scale insertions and deletions, which shift the codon sequence in a gene, are known as frameshift mutations. These mutations are associated with a number of conditions, including Tay-Sachs disease, cystic fibrosis, and HIV. Mutations are more common than you might expect. Estimates for the mutation rate in humans tend to be on the order of 100 mutations per generation. That means a normal child is likely to have roughly 100 different parts in his or her DNA that the parents did not have. However, most mutations occur in non-coding regions and have little or no effect. Of those mutations that do change amino acid sequences in proteins, most have a deleterious effect, like the examples we have discussed. Some mutations can change a protein so that it gives the organism an advantage, and these mutations are often more likely to be passed on to future generations. This occurs by a process called natural selection, which is covered in another video. Thanks for watching! If you have any comments, questions, or ideas for new videos, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. But you know what you should do first? Subscribe to this channel. It would be a small-scale change, but with dramatically positive results.